Guys, you need a structure. You need good phrases, good sentences whenever you're speaking in CELPIP, and these 5 templates are going to give you exactly that. Just make sure whenever you use them, adapt them throughout the question based on the context. The templates here are meant to be used as guides for you to make the best answer, not to memorize them word to word. But if you use them the way I'm going to show you in this video, you're going to improve your marks right away. Let's start with template number 1. Our very first example has to do with CELPIP Speaking question number 1, which is about giving advice, recommendation, and mostly it's about helping a friend or a family member. Now, when you start giving a suggestion, for example, some suggestion on how you can find a new job, hey is usually the start, unless it's formal, which is rare. Mostly it's a family or friend. So hey, take the name of this person. I totally understand what you're going through, so show your understanding of whatever their specific situation is. I've thought about this carefully. These things add adverbs which are good for your marks. And I genuinely, so you see this is a complex sentence because you're adding another clause. And I genuinely believe, again, an adverb. Believe that, and then your option that you're suggesting that doing this or this would be the best choice for you. And here you just mention this intro. You do not start with your reason. You want to start your reason with another sentence. Mainly it's, and now you explain how it's beneficial. Mainly it, explain the first benefit in detail. Likewise, it'll help you with, this is your benefit number 2, detail that in much the same way, and then you do benefit number 3. In total, you need 3 suggestions here. That's it. Give 20 seconds to each. Intro and conclusion would be the rest of the time, making it 90 seconds in total. You would notice here how we have mainly, and that is an adverb, good connector. Likewise, advanced connector instead of just saying secondly. In much the same way is a phrase that is being used as a connector, which is going to add to your range of expressions and vocabulary. Once you finish with the 3rd suggestion, you want to say, from my own experience, I've seen how effective this can be. And again, remember to adapt it to whatever you're talking about. With a job situation, yeah, it's effective. That word fits. But if it's about weight loss, you can say, again, effective is good too. You can also say, I've seen the practical implications of this. So again, make sure to adapt it based on the question. Then 1 sentence to conclude. In the end, it's your decision, but I highly recommend you give this a shot. Very natural phrasing, and it's also something that people say when they're talking to each other. You want to show realism, and that's what this aims to do. It could really make a difference. Just finishing with a little thought at the end, and you always want to have this extra option of adding something, some extension of the conclusion if you're not able to reach the whole time. And if the time is running out, you don't have to say this ending part. But having a little buffer at the end, having a little option at the end is always useful. Okay, let's get into our next template here when we're comparing 2 options, which happens in task 5, comparison and persuasion. Here, when you're talking to the person, address them first of all, obviously, hey, Mary, mom, whoever you're talking to. Once you get to the discussion, you want to say between option A and option B, and here you want to name the options, because again, always remember, what do we do in real life? We don't say option A and B, we take the names of those options. So based on the picture, take the names and say, I would confidently choose. Notice how every time we try to add adjectives and adverbs instead of just making plain descriptions. So confidently, again, this is your adverb giving you marks for your vocabulary. And then mention your choice here and say, here's why. Then you start talking about the options that are already on the screen in part 5 in the picture. But when you start talking about them, start the first one by saying, first of all, it offers natural tone, and this is something that is, again, very easy to start with. It offers, and again, mention the benefit, affordability, convenience, whatever it is based on the picture. What's more, now you can see because we're piling up, hey, advantage 1, advantage 2, this kind of connector really fits well. What's more, or on top of that, when you're adding more emphasis to the benefits of your option, it aligns better. Beautiful wordings instead of saying, it's a good thing, it's nice. It aligns better, is more advanced, and it aligns better with whatever the person's needs or goals are, and explain how, again, based on what is presented in the picture. You always want to talk about the other option, and you can go to the other option this way. While the other option might seem tempting, or instead of tempting, put an actual feature from the picture. So if I'm comparing two bicycles, maybe the other option might seem inexpensive, or might seem better or more trendy based on the picture. It just doesn't provide the same, and now go back to your key advantage. It's a beautiful way to compare, and doing this gives you that while, which is your mark for the complex sentence. When you start sentences with while, they're considered complex. Plus, it helps you say at least two things in one sentence, making your time go easier instead of you rushing. Now, finish up with overall. Again, in this kind of question, people are always rushing, so you want to finish with a small connector. Overall, I believe, whatever your choice is, your choice, the one you selected, is the smarter, more effective choice here. And again, that would depend on the context. If you want to say something else, it's the cheaper choice. It is the more in-trend choice, whatever it is based on the question. Wrap it up with one sentence, because that's all you can afford, because the time runs out fast in this kind of question. Now let's talk about task number 6. It is when you're convincing someone who disagrees. It is explaining something to another person which is in a difficult circumstance. So you want to start by, again, your greeting whenever needed. Hey, mom, dad, whoever you're talking to. I know you're not very comfortable with this idea, but let me share my perspective. Really good way to build to what you have to say. And throughout this answer, you will see, especially at the start, we're showing our emotional intelligence, and you are being marked on that in this question. So make sure you're communicating your feelings and showing understanding of the other person. I truly think at this point you give your opinion. This is worth considering because, now again, the tone really matters. You don't want to say, I think this is the best thing to do, because you are convincing the other person. So you are being polite and saying, it's worth considering, it's a reasonable option. These kinds of wordings and phrases matter a lot because in this context, you are showing compassion and showing your emotional intelligence. As soon as this question is done, you go to part 7, which is a debate question. You want to be more firm there. Assert your opinion. You don't have to be nice there. So it really depends on the question. You want to change your context based on that. So these kinds of wordings really help. Now, you are saying this, right? I truly think that this is worth considering because, and then continue with, it addresses specific concern that they have. It addresses the problem that you've had with whatever by doing this. Or if you don't need by, you can just say it addresses and then just explain what it addresses. Then you want to use moreover in the long run. And this is a very good extra thing to add in sentences, which gives you, again, marks for how complex your range is in sentences. So if it's not in the long run, you can add something else. Moreover, considering what Dad said, moreover, based on our expenses, and so on. Moreover, and add something. Again, moreover is a great connector to transition to this next thing. And then you say it'll lead to. Now I recommend you say it'll lead to. Those kinds of wordings, again, are complex, so they'll give you more marks instead of you just saying this will be the benefit. So it'll lead to sounds better. Then you explain this problem or your point here and use this, again, emotional phrasing. It might feel good, it might feel bad, it might be whatever. And this again shows that you're relating to the person emotionally. At the end, you want to say, please just give it a little more thought. It might turn out to be exactly what you need. And again, depending on the context, make sure to adjust this conclusion. Now, let's go into our 4th template here, which is task 3 style. Very important question, visual description. You want to describe a picture. Very important things I need to mention here. So once you start, you can start off directly with in this picture, I can see, and then describe the overall picture, the park, the scene, the kitchen, whatever it is. One sentence, that's the start. Now, you're pointing to the directions, all right? So you're going to say at the center, on the left, in the foreground, and so on. So an example here is at the center of the image, there is, and this is usually your main person always starts with the main character in the picture. You want to do that because if you don't have time and you're leaving this person at the end and time runs out, you miss out on the most important thing. So get it done in the first sentence. And then you mention who appears to be doing this. Relative sentences, who, that, which, again, they add variety. So I suggest you using something like this at the start to define that first character. Now you go again on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, I notice, go around in the picture. But here you see how you have the active voice. Now change it in the next sentence and say, in the foreground, something can be seen. Passive voice. So you have your combination of active and passive. This is an example. You can actually do this right here, and you can implement this in every other place. Use a combination of active and passive sentences. Everyone seems to be engaged in whatever activity, and the mood feels very whatever. Now, you don't have to do all of these sentences. Do what you can. But this sentence, for example, has another element of showing and pushing you to do adjectives. The mood feels this way. So you will make sure to use an adjective. You will make sure to use a verb. And this is, again, parts of speech. Using multiple of them will give you more marks. Now, not only, but also, again, if you can use it, try to do that if you have more time. Not only is this person doing this, but also this person is doing this. Not only is this person happy, but also he seems concerned about whatever. Not only, but also is your complex sentence. It also helps you do 2 points within one sentence. So very useful when describing pictures. Now, when you're finishing off, you want to say overall. Once again, quick finish, overall. And then the picture portrays a lovely story about whatever, or a chaotic scene of whatever, depending on the picture. Finally, for our final template, we're going to look at part 2, which is a personal storytelling question, talking about a trip, an occasion, item, or dream, could be anything. So you give a personal account of an experience. Here, you can start by saying, I'd love to tell you about, and this is very natural, very easy to start with, then talk about whatever it is. Which really means a lot to me. Again, good phrasing really means a lot to me. And which is, again, that relative clause that'll help you do the range of sentences. It happened when, and it was absolutely amazing, beautiful. Make sure to put an adjective here. Now, again, if it's a past event, it's going to be something like it happened. But what if it's a future thing, like your dream? Talk about your dream, your aspiration. So it's going to be, it's related to arts and craft or education and whatever, and it is something I absolutely desire if you can do an adjective. But if you can, it's absolutely imperative for me to achieve. Okay? Use adjectives wherever you can and when it's natural. Now, start with the most exciting part was or is, or the most interesting thing is. This should be the highlight of the story, your main thing, and this will help you get the emotion done. Why is this important? In part 2 questions, usually at the end, it always asks you, why did this thing mean something to you? Why was it important for you? Once you start with this idea, the most exciting thing, the most important thing, you already cover that, and you make sure you don't miss that element in task response. Okay. Next is going to be your next connector. Next, I remember feeling, make sure to mention another emotion here. And then the reason. You always want to give reasons, always expand on everything you say. Reason, because it was a meaningful experience or it was an important thing to me. What made it even more special? Okay, so why we're doing this is, again, we're adding that layer of emotion, showing why this was so important and close to us, which will give us more range, and it will always answer that question at the end of question number 2, which is, why was it important? Why was it special? What's the importance of it to your life? So by doing this, you're hitting those points in the question naturally. Finally, finish off with, all in all, it truly left a lasting impression on me. If it was a past thing. If it's future, you can say, all in all, it is something I truly believe I need to achieve. If it is a physical object that you're describing, all in all, it was the best gift that I could have ever received from anyone. Depending on the question, you change the tone, but you keep the idea mentioned in these templates today to help you with your CELPIP speaking. Guys, if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below regarding what you think about the templates. Also, if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Love to hear from you. Talk to you very soon.